Okay, we're going to turn now to some presentations that we have for the morning, and I'm going to ask a colleague here, Patrick Wright, director of our task force, to give us our director's report. I'm just going to give everybody a heads up that Joe and I are watching our timing on this one. So we may have to come in if we need to, we'll give you the hook. But we're going to try to keep on to make sure that we honor your time. We have our lunch that's set up too. Just want to let you guys all know that we're going to manage that, monitor that. Make sure that you get some time at the end to be able to walk around the safari park as well. So we want to try to end on time as well. Hey, and that show us how it's done, Patrick.
Thank you. All together now. I think the theme song. We'll have to incorporate that into our website. So I'm going to just spend a few minutes walking you through some of our major highlights since our last meeting in December. Some of that our panelists have already covered, so I'm going to sort of do a light touch on this. So let's move ahead. As many of you know, we are here in Escondido. Last year we had 6 meetings. We're shifting to 4. Putting on meetings of this magnitude is no mean feat. So we're shifting to a process, as Jennifer mentioned earlier, where every other meeting is in a region. And the Sacramento meetings are more focused on agency coordination and funding at the state and federal level. We think that formula will work well, but certainly welcome your input on the structure of these meetings, how they're working, et cetera, as we move forward. Again, we always highlight the fact that if you're interested in knowing what progress we're making on every one of the 99 actions that were in the action plan that we produced almost 3 years ago, we still as you want on the agencies involved, the progress they're making, the deadlines, et cetera. So keep looking for that on our website. We have, of course, our agency families have accomplished a lot in the last several months. On the community side, we have a brand new baseline assessment that our work group has gone through, gives you a complete inventory and summary of everything that's going on in the community space, where we're doing well, where we're not so doing well. That'll be a platform for us to develop a more fleshed out strategy. CAL FIRE is accelerating their work on defensible space inspections all across the state. We're seeing new Firewise communities grow and grow and grow. So a lot going on the community side. We had a whole session on that, if you recall, the December meeting, and we certainly hope to do that again at a future meeting. Landscape side, there's no way I can possibly summarize how much work is being done at the state level, over 1,000 projects underway, Forest Service spending a couple $100 million. You'll get a flavor of that as we go through the agenda today. Certainly a specific focus has been since the inception of the task force, and I think candidly with Joe's arrival and Jennifer's emphasis, beneficial fire is getting tremendous attention across the state. We have a cultural fire presentation and panel today that's vivid evidence of that, that even in Southern California, we're recognizing that, you know, fire is a key part of the landscape that we need to continue to be focused on. As Joe said, a whole range of CAL FIRE grant awards underway. Tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars are going to be going out the door this spring and summer across the board. I know all of you are much more knowledgeable than I am about the specifics of each of these requirements, but there's a broad range out there. We hope to keep the momentum going and the money flowing on the state side. And then on the federal and state side, huge investment statewide. Again, programs coming from Washington, programs coming from Sacramento, across the board. We're going to try over time to do even better job of giving inventories of these projects on our website, so you can see and you can track on both the federal and state side where and when money is being invested. Southern California, we're stepping up. I know there's a perception, we'll talk about this in our first panel, that Southern California hasn't gotten its share. We're here to tell you that that's not the case. We got CAL FIRE alone is spending over $200 million just in the last couple of years across the board on projects, over 385 projects underway in this region. Forest Service, really stepping up, $566 million in just the last 3 or 4 years. Again, you can talk to the Forest Service folks that are here. We'll talk about that more with our panels, but just want to reassure folks that Southern California is getting the attention that we think it deserves, both financially and with staff support across the region. And we're also changing how we're doing things. Not just in the Northern California, but in Southern California. This is a map of the 6 so-called regional forest and fire capacity regions overlain with the Forest Service forest. And I think it's fair to say that Southern California is ahead of the rest of the state in aligning Forest Service work and community work using the RFFC regions as a platform to work together to develop integrated plans where you can see in one plan, if as these evolve, Forest Service projects, CAL FIRE projects, state park projects, utility projects, water projects, Caltrans projects. What we hope to do over time is, instead of funding hundreds and hundreds of individual projects in each of these areas, is to start moving towards, as CAL FIRE is now and as the Forest Service has already been, block grants for bigger, larger projects and groups of projects in each of these subregions. So this graphic is a good example. We used this last year to show how Forest Service, CAL FIRE, Department of Conservation, and NFF funding is all being leveraged, all being coordinated together to fund bigger blocks of projects across the region. We're going to spend most of the June meeting focused on alignment of funding at the Sacramento level. So we're going to be spending a lot of time. How can we replicate this approach in the rest of the state and statewide? Can we bring the state agencies together to develop aligned grant guidelines? Can we leverage better with the Forest Service and BLM? It's a big challenge to do that. Sounds easy, but each of these grant programs have their own restrictions and their own requirements. So trying to bring them together is a challenge, but we're really going to try to focus our June meeting on regional investment strategies and state investment strategies that better align our funding across the board. Again, a lot of emphasis here in Southern California on beneficial fire. Here's 3 projects, 1 Forest Service, 1 CAL FIRE, or 1 tribal. Just want to, as a reminder, that we continue to focus on beneficial fire as a high priority in Southern California. And in addition, something that's, doesn't get the attention that it deserves is community and urban forestry. Both CAL FIRE and the Forest Service are pouring tens of millions of dollars into urban and community forestry projects throughout Southern California, not only to meet those communities healthy, to deal with climate issues, heat issues, et cetera. So I'll look forward to more attention and more investments there. And again, as I've mentioned, we're going to continue our focus at the task force on helping the regions get where we need to be. We've got regional profiles created for each of the 4 major regions. We've got regional resource kits that include metrics, assessments, tracking systems, decision support systems, monitoring systems, all the tools that we think are necessary and that'll be helpful for you at the regional level to up your game, to go big, to go large landscape, to go multi-benefit and multi-agency over time. Again, a few highlights on those regional resource kits. We'll talk a little bit more in our first panel about to walk you through them. We had a whole workshop on our core metrics process in January. The Planscape tool is being updated as we think. As you can see, the plan user journey is now available for Southern California, so you can look for that on our website. And at our June meeting, we're going to present an update on our tracking system. We've heard a lot from you on what's working and what's not working with our tracking system. So look forward to more of that. This is a screenshot for those of you who aren't familiar with our tracking system. You can go online and you can sort by action. You can sort by agency. You can sort all sorts of ways so that you can get a better understanding of the projects that are going on in each region of the state. This was originally developed with the intent of tracking our progress towards the 1 million acre target, but as we're finding more and more, it's an extraordinary useful tool regionally for as our supervisor mentioned, we all tend to work in silos, and so state parks may have not been aware that there's a Caltrans project a quarter mile away, and then a utility project 2 miles away, and then a Caltrans project. We think this tool is going to be really, really helpful, particularly when we add plan projects to it. So everybody can see what's planned in every part of the state, both by agency and by activity. So look for that. And then finally, we've heard from you and many of you, Acre Street is great. It's a really important milestone. Getting to 1,000,000 acres is vital to suggest the scope of the effort that's needed. But we also need to get beyond acres treated as a measure of benefit. So we've developed a set of core outcome measures, still under development. As I said, we had a workshop in January. Not going to go through them all now, but I want to let you folks know that we've got core metrics that are being drafted for everything from fire risk to biodiversity to carbon to water that hopefully will help you better justify and prioritize projects locally. So you can, as you put grant applications together, as you report, to your elected officials, you can do a much better job of explaining through the tools that we're developing the huge number of benefits that these forest health projects are happening. Gone are the days of single agency, single purpose projects. More and more, we're going to multiple benefit projects, and we think these tools will help us get there. And then finally, we are planning an update of our action plan that's going to pull together all of these activities we've talked about, the joint strategies, the science, the regional profiles, our 1,000,000 acre modeling that's taking place, our roadmap that I talked about for fire adapted communities, the regulatory streamlining efforts that we've talked about. We're going to pull all of that together in a plan, a draft plan by the end of the year. These are some of the key elements, but even more important, we hope to use that update to accelerate how we do work across the state. As we talked about at our last meeting, I'm losing this next slide. Whoop. I don't know if I can go backwards or not. Oh, there we go. Accelerating the transition that's underway, again, from single agency, single purpose projects to multiple agency, multiple purpose project. What tools do you need to try to make that transition to go from smaller projects to projects that are tens of thousands of acres, to shift funding, as I said before, from individual projects to block grants to larger groups of projects, moving from relying on the science that just happens to be available to a comprehensive assessment in each region of the statement and each sub-region on the key habitat conditions in every part of the state. Again, to supplement activity-based, acres treated with outcome-based measures of how you're doing. And then finally, shifting from just using recent history to guide us to introducing climate and the fact that we're all in fire adapted landscapes to everything we do. Many of this is already underway by many of you, but we hope to do at the task force, again, is to provide the tools, the information, the kits that you need to accelerate our efforts in this direction. So again, if you want to stay updated, our website is always there, contains all this information that I've talked about and more, so encourage you to stay tuned. And then finally, I just want to thank everybody for coming. I apologize to the people that couldn't register. We sold out within a week. And I get this question now increasingly. How is it that we have 300 plus people here and several hundred people online, and yet we have no action items in front of us? Well, the answer, I think, is twofold. One, as all of our speakers have said before, it really is increasingly all about partnerships right now. We're not going to get where we need to be unless you all are connected with each other. So please let us know how these meetings, how workshops, how other venues can be helpful in better connecting you, because we're convinced that's the only way we're going to take on this wildfire crisis. That's one part of the answer. The second part of the answer is the tools. We're really hoping these resource kits, the metrics, decision support systems, tracking systems will really help you. We're not in Sacramento or Vallejo going to tell San Diego County, focus on this area or do this project. We hope to do instead is give you the tools so that you can decide, you can better plan and prioritize, assess trade-offs, quantify benefits across the board. So please let us know, go online, talk to us about the resource kits, about these tools, what's working, what's not working, so we can accelerate your progress across the board. So thank you, Jennifer. That's our brief update and looking forward to a fun day.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Very much appreciate that. Joe, anything for you?
Yeah, just a couple items, and I think I hit on this early, was Patrick, your slide about core reporting metrics. It is truly more than just about the acres anymore. It is about all the efforts that are coming together. So I appreciate that slide. The only other thing in the essence of time that I'm going to mention is 2 days ago, I was in an assembly subcommittee budget hearing, and our community welfare and preparedness mitigation program announced in that meeting that we are about to announce the 800th Firewise community that happens to be in the Southern California region. Announcement is soon to come. So great accomplishments by everybody there.
Well, there's a teaser for you.
And again, Patrick and Joe, like you had said, we've all been really working hard. I'll just emphasize as well as those reporting metrics. What are the outcomes we're going for? And those acres represent part of that. But really, we'd love to get feedback. So I hope you took from Patrick, feedback. We'd love to hear, what do you need? What are you seeing or sensing that is missing? What are the gaps that we need? Or my gosh, whatever happens, keep doing this. So also the second thing on this, we are looking to be as transparent as possible. We want to give that data out the fastest, the best way we can. So please give us, again, feedback on what would be helpful on transparency and what we're all trying to do together on that. So with that, thank you, Patrick. And